Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, in which we are continuing to do Cinera's config file parsing stuff. Yesterday we had a fun day debugging a pointer invalidation issue, essentially. Making sure that parent pointers of grandchildren get correctly updated, or at least making sure that they remain valid. And the way that we ensured that was by offsetting them whenever the area of memory into which they're pointing gets reallocated. That's the way we handled that. So yeah, I guess we're just going to continue to do our stuff. We were kind of working through some of the variables. It was a bit piecemeal, really. You know, we did the owner, did the project, and yesterday we were doing the person. So what this essentially was it was making sure it was getting this right. Is getting this into is resolving this, essentially resolving this person thing. So whenever you saw this variable, you would ascend to the parent scope, which would be as a port. Well, sorry, that's not right. You would be within, when you see this, you're sort of assuming that you're within. Yeah, it's interesting actually. I don't know that we actually. We're not doing it quite right, I don't think. I think what we need to do is we need to say if the current scope is not ID, it's like while the current scope is not ID person, ascend to the parent and see if that is a person. Right, that's essentially what we're talking about. Yeah, in fact, I think I should just do that. Like, I can just show you what I'm talking about. If I just print scope here, on the scope, and what else we're going to have? We're going to have print config and print bulk happening. So I think if I just don't do this, I should hopefully see something. So yeah, this scope tree is a support scope, as you can see there. Right, it's not a person, so when we see this variable here, when we try and resolve this variable, we're not going to be able to find the information that we need within this scope. So what we need to do is we need to ascend up the scopes until we're at an actual person scope. I think I can be more explicit about this. Can I do print type spec of scope? Yeah, if I just pass the current scope's type spec. Yeah, okay. So this whole thing here is the type spec. It's telling us that the ID is support, and it should contain an icon and the URL, basically. I mean, maybe actually we could possibly even generalize this even further, maybe. going to be right? No. What does print pair take? Right. So there we go. Right. Why is that not printing out so... Oh, there it is. It's printing out this. So yeah, what this is telling us is that the ID of this thing is the port. Right. So what we need to do is I think we're perfectly fine to modify the scope in here, aren't we? Because it's not going to be used again. And also, I guess we could just use, like, I think it's this, isn't it? This is what we're switching on. Well, we're switching on variable, okay. Yeah, how do I actually ascend here without falling into tricky water? Let's just write it out explicitly. Right. If the scope that we're in is what we're looking for, then set the resolution to be that. Otherwise, we need to say scope equals scope. I guess if there's a scope parent, then we set the scope equals to the scope parent. Or I guess we could also sort of say if scope right. Well, the thing is, I want to be able to ascend the entire scope tree. And furthermore, I think this should actually work, by the way, because we do only need to ascend one scope. Well, this is what I'm talking about eventually. Should be a bit of green, yeah, there. Yeah, so that's still working like that. Essentially, if I F0 this scope, we should find that that doesn't actually manage to fill in Mio's thing. Yeah, sure enough it can't. So, I mean, we have got this. Do we need to ascend through multiple generations? This is basically mind the loop, basically. Mind the loop. Now, one thing we'd like to do probably before actually setting that resolution is seeing if the person that was cited even exists. Right, and we're currently not actually doing that, are we? Oh no, we are adding people, I think. Is it push person? Yeah, okay, so we are doing that. So maybe we can actually do this already. We could do this without even setting anything else. Basically, what we need to set is these guys. Set the ident owner to actually point to the person that we set, that we push on here. So this is going to require us to be able to take the config so we can actually iterate through the persons that have been passed in. So let's do that. Oh right, yes, everybody's going to have to take the config. Everybody who calls resolve string is going to have to take it. Oh no, yeah. Which is slightly unfortunate. mean, the alternative would be to make the project take a pointer up to its parent, and if the parent is ever the config, yeah, we don't really store that information, though, do we? Like these things are actually parsed into actual structures, so I don't think that could actually work for us. You know, these individual structs don't have an ID in them, for example. They're just what they are. Now, push person's taking the memory book after the config. What makes sense for that exactly? Let's make it take the config first. Resolve variables itself is the guy that produces the config. They come up with that in the first place. So let's change push product onto config to also take them in that order. Probably push product onto project is probably going to have to take the config as well, if that's going to have to be getting through to resolve string, isn't it? Let's just see how it shakes out. Yeah. So with a bit of luck, that hasn't changed a single thing. Yeah, it just still works, fortunately. So resolve environment variable doesn't need to take that config because it doesn't need to bother. with anything that we've stored. So this is sort of, not quite sure what this is, temporary string, preliminary. Then what you do is you go through all of the persons. Right. And we probably want to be saying do we need to do this? Let's just say yeah, we should be able to do that. And this ID is going to be a string, so if strings match, and the prelim, and I believe strings match is taking pointers to these people, isn't it? Yeah. If they match, then you can say that the resolution is equal to the prelim. And then you can break. Right. In other words, we've actually found the person. Print string. Did I ever make that print string that just a new line? No, I don't think I did. So this is happening in the resolution. So where's that going up to? Should probably so we're getting there. We have got a couple of new lines there. Person counts. So going over the C person count. So we're getting there. I thought we are adding, aren't we? right? For the trees, add in person. Do we get there? I mean, I guess, actually. Yeah, this print function name. So did we not do that? Yeah, push person. Right. So push person is happening. And we're printing out the scope tree of that person as well. And you can see that it's Miyatatsu. The name is all of this stuff. Oh. Oh, I see what's going on. So we can't check for this guy's existence here. Essentially is what we're saying. Aren't we? Because when we're trying to resolve this, we're trying to resolve this while we're actually adding this guy into the config. Aren't we? Resolve local variable. So here's resolve local variable happening. Here. And there's no person count. I'm a bit suspicious of this, I think. Let's follow it through. Let's step into push person. We should get this call and just see where everything happens. Because I would have thought that by this point we do the push person call. Oh, hold on a second. No, it's not actually going to do that, is it? When we do push person, we only increment the person count here, which is unfortunate. Because this is after we're doing the push support. Yeah, this is the problem. Yeah, that is unfortunate. One way we could actually do this is to just increment the person count before here, decrement the person count here. And then when we do these resolve... Well, actually, no, even when we do these resolve strings... Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be kind of like... increment the person count straight up here. Right? Because we have fit the stuff for it. We set the ID at least. Basically, what I'm trying to catch here... Yeah, what am I trying to catch? You know what? I think I'm trying to catch something that isn't relevant. basically what I thought I was trying to catch was like somebody initializing, setting an owner that doesn't exist. That's what I thought I was trying to catch, but this ain't going to catch that at all. All we're talking about in the person situation, like when we cite a person, it's only relevant to cite a person within a person itself, right? Like within here, you can't really sort of say, you can't really say this, because there's no such thing as a, in this context, a person has no meaning. You could conceivably say this, right? And this would be talking about this. But talking about a person anywhere other than in a person scope, or a person scope or its child scopes, i.e. a support scope. So to be a bit more specific about that, in here, yeah, so we've got a person scope. Talking about a person anywhere other than in here, it just wouldn't make sense. So that's the actual check that I want to be doing, really. I think I'm still correct that I will need to be passing the config around at some point. So that I can handle the case where somebody sets the owner to something. If somebody sets the owner to Simulatori. Well, I mean, what do I need to do that actually? It's possible I don't. If I don't, then we can just relieve resolve string of taking the config. Well, it's more specifically, it's resolve local variable, isn't it? So that should hopefully remind me of that. To see if anybody actually never needs to check it. Well, see if it. Right. It's a bit cryptic, but I think I should hopefully understand that. And then down here, ident person. The check was yeah, it's if we ever manage to set it, essentially. Right? And also we've got this to do here to write the loop, so this will be done a bit better, so we can actually ascend scopes. all I want to do is report an error, essentially. And the error is like invalid location of this variable. Or variable this could not be resolved. I mean, I guess yeah, I've got these, haven't I? This is only valid within these scopes. Oh, right. Yeah, so I can't specifically write which ones it is, can I? I mean, I could do. I could loop over all the type specs and see if the current variable is contained in that type spec. I think I'll just leave that for now, though. Yeah, unfortunately, we're just going to have all of these resolve stream calls interspersed. But I should be able to at least sort of in there, which is that. Yeah, okay. Person variable could not be resolved. Perfect. Not exactly sure where all these new lines are coming from, by the way. There's one there. Oh, it'd be this, won't it? Yeah, which is just test stuff. We don't care about that. It's probably nice if we actually colorise that as well. But like I say, we're going to, as I said a few weeks ago probably, we will go through and do some proper, through the actual error messages, formatting and stuff like that. Formatting and language, you know, everything to do with it. I think that's a reasonable way of doing it. So let's go to push project now, and I think let's at least get these guys pointing into the right person. Let's start with the ident owner. We have got the config coming in, so what we want to do here is to say the owner is easier than these, by the way, because there's only one owner, whereas for these we'll have to push one on, push a pointer on, because we don't know how many of these there could be. And also, as a general rule, these will likely just be 0 anyway. But there could be projects, I can imagine projects where there's like a regular a regular co-host, or in fact like a whole like table of co-hosts, and like somebody might just want to set them all up in the config straight up, rather than making the annotator sort of set it in each individual HTML file. Okay. Pretty sure this will be correct. And this is going to be returning a pointer to a person. So it's the config. Sorry. Yeah, it's going to have to take the actual person as well, isn't it? Sort of person ID. Okay, it doesn't die. We don't print out the actual... Do we print out the people? Or rather, do we print out a project's owner? I don't think we do. I think we probably have a print person thing, don't we? So you could just sort of say... Really, we don't have print person. Oh. Could this get troublesome? It's going to call print support, so if I just stuff these guys above that, none of these should call print project. I would have thought. So now, I'm going to find this. Oh, we set the owner to Cinera, sorry, who we're not going to find. Yeah, and it is a config error. Right. However, we should now hopefully find somewhere. So that was Handmade Hero, who don't have the thing set. Retry reader. So do we now find the owner? Don't think we do we? we should be getting to there after we've actually added the persons. Yeah, print project. So yeah, it's only the project. So and we're resolving the projects after we've resolved the people. If p owner, which is a pointer. Oh, right. So it was there. Printing it in cyan. I guess we could say the print person thing could take a role. Right? That could be sweet. And then it does like the print. We kind of construct a print pair thing using that. Right. Now these config editor, it's going to be stuff like, see this, owner, guest. So ident owner. So the print person, and we could also say it can take a null as well, if we wanted to. So this is going to be maybe we need to check if the role is valid. If you're something saying, that is. Yeah, because in the general configuration, a person has no particular role. It's only when they come into the context of a project that they actually inhabit a role. And there we have him. Now, let's just quickly look at that print person. Print pair. Right, so I don't need to be new lining that because print pair takes care of that for us. You kind of see how the cheesy like indentations are just like stuck in there. It'd be nice if the print support could also print out, could also indent. Well, I don't think it's necessary really. Where else are we saying? Oh no. I guess we could loop over all of the other dudes, couldn't we now? And I suppose while we're in the mood, we could also actually add the other people. We could add the co-hosts, the guests, and the annotators. So that'd be essentially pushing them on to a project. We do have a push person call, don't we? Do we not? But the thing is about this push person is that it's pushing onto the main configuration. So it's like push person on config, push person onto config. Yeah, we probably do need to separate these guys out so it does a similar thing. And I wonder also what this is actually doing. Yeah, it's not doing exactly the right thing. It's not doing exactly what we want, let me say. Because pushing a person onto the project is only supposed to be pushing on pointers to the people. Pushing a person onto the config, on the other hand, should be pushing on their entire information. Hence this resolve string call saying the name. Right, we shouldn't be doing any of this. Push person onto project should just be taking the config and the project onto which we want to push. And then getting enough space for the pointers and pointing those pointers at straight into the config. That's what we want to be doing. Right, what we're talking about here is push person onto project. Yeah, I think that's literally it. Let me just put a bit of music on. Really, Limbo hasn't been listened to, has it not? We could be here for some time, but this will give us another 19-20 minutes. So, I think maybe, push project onto config isn't very long, is it, anyway? And also, I think they're completely different. You know, they're not going to do anything similar, apart from fit in it. So I think let's just write a new one. Could be the role again, couldn't it, actually? I think we want to be taking the We're going to have a string, aren't we? It's going to be the person's ID. Well, it doesn't even need to be the role, does it? Because we're specifically sort of saying that this person, these people are going to be calling it, right? So they're going to call it on the right thing. Well, actually, maybe they're not. Because we're going to need to be able to increment the count, aren't we? And the count isn't included in the pointer. The count is a member of the project. So yeah, we are going to have to take the role as well. So we know where we're actually pushing it. I don't think there's any other way around it, is there? We also do need to take the config. Did say that, didn't I? I suppose as a first step, what you could do is you could establish that there even is if that person even exists, right? Then once you've established that, you then do your switch on the role to stuff it into the actual project. So get person. Right, it's just this. And also, that is going to end up being our result anyway. Isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. Strangely enough. No, I don't think it can be. Because I think we should be returning the pointer well, actually, now I mention it, we probably don't need to return anything at all. Because the only reason to return something is to actually make it accessible in this function, right? Which we don't care about. Like, none of these people, none of this stuff here is bothered about printing it, for example. All we're doing is setting stuff. So really, all it's a case of doing is saying, when we've got the annotator, the co-host, or the guest, all you want to do is say, push person onto project. It's going to be this person here with this value. I don't think it's appropriate to even have any variables that can be resolved in this. Push that person on as this role, right? So these guys could just be on the same case. I'd annotate a co-host and guest could just fall through to the same case. They all just say push person onto project, and they don't need to set anything, right? So there's no result as such. It's just like figuring out if this person exists, really. if we've got a person, then we've got that pointer. We need to make space for that pointer. So it's just like fit. You need to be switching on the roll now. And this is where it's going to matter. There's obviously a 0% chance I'm going to remember how to do this. But let's give it a go. We need to fit into this pointer, this size, so that's the width in bytes. Let's say you can fit 4 per thing, 4 per allocation. Let's say that the count. And do we need to clear this? I guess we don't, because it is just pointers and we have the annotator count, so we'll be looping over the annotator count as we need to do. Right. How far did I go? Really? Oh. Oh, Jesus. So I did manage to do that fit call correctly, did I? Let's just double check that. So, base, width in bytes, item count. Yeah, totally didn't. Well, yeah, I did actually. Base, width in bytes, item count, items per block. Item count, items per block is the wrong way around. And then finally it was clear. So, p annotator is equal to fit. We then want to say that the p annotator at the and then just increment p, right? And if we've been passed an invalid roll, I mean, really, we know what we're doing, don't we? It's only push product who's calling this. And we're specifically going to be saying, telling it what to actually do. So yeah, I don't think we need to care. I do need the default case though, don't I? Yeah, because the enum thingamajig ain't going to let me get away without. I mean, can I just do this? Yeah. Can you do that as well? You can. It's kind of funny. So yeah, I reckon that's all it is. You fit the space for the pointers. Right, we're dereferencing the pointer to a pointer here. Right. we've got a pointer to a pointer, so we want to dereference that pointer to a pointer, and you just end up with a pointer. And then you just set in that to be that. Yeah, so that seems right to me. And it's on a postcard. In all of these cases, you just go down. Well, actually, we need to set the actual project tree that we're talking about, don't we? Well, actually, maybe we don't, because you're pushing onto the push project. You've got the project here. Maybe, yeah, you just press the P, and you need the actual and the role. And the role in this case is going to be whatever this is. Which kind of begs the question, do we just pass it the whole pair? Might as well, mightn't you? Right, so you've got the string and the role in the same thing. Oh, right. Config pair. I mean, variable, because I have used variable before for other things. It's not a variable though, is it? Because like, it's not one of these. So yeah, I guess variable isn't the appropriate name for it. Actually, I suppose you could sort of say, you could call it actor, right? Because it's got a role. It's like a person's string and their actual role. It could make sense to do that. So then you switching on the actors key, and then what was the other thing we were passing in previously? So yeah, it just passes the entire dude. Let's see if it crashes first of all. It doesn't crash. Now let's print config. Print project. Alright, let me just say for int I. Right, it's essentially that, isn't it? Oops. Well, and also let's do co-host first.